Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of Calendly and how I have configured that for my podcast scheduling. I might also dip into Zapier just to kind of show you what that's doing. That's a little bit more personalized though, and I do have a guide on how to do that over on my blog, which I'll include here, like in the description along with this video. So let me share my screen here. I will make things a little bit bigger. You can see I have a bunch of calendars here. And then if I click show more, I have even more. But how I built it interview is the one I want to show you. Now, if you're familiar with Calendly, you'll know a lot of this stuff. But I want to point out some a little like intricacies that I think are helpful when you're creating a calendar for podcast scheduling. So first of all, it's called how I built an interview. You can set a custom location. I have that set to my Riverside studio specifically for how I built it. There's one specifically for how I built it that's just audio. I don't do video recording for that. For my other podcast, which is shorter, I do video for that one. So choosing the right studio is important to me. You can also offer a choice for your invitee. I wouldn't recommend that. In the description, I have some information about how long we book. I block 75 minutes for how I built it to include a 15-minute pre-interview. Especially if I don't know the guest, this is super helpful. And then I include some recording notes, which I'll just highlight really quick. The recording notes are basically like an FAQs of what people ask me day of recording. So again, if I make this a little bit bigger for you, I say that this page is included in the calendar invite. I'll highlight that in a minute. I talk about how we'll record and notes about recording. So I let them know that video is not recorded. I also tell them that Riverside will kill the video if it's affecting internet, but it'll still record the video, right? So like if my guests see the video turn off, they usually like stop and get all worried. And so I include some more information here. Headphones are required. Ways to improve the echo / sound quality, format, things like that. So just some helpful information about what I think is would be good to know day of recording. I can include this in the resources as well. So I have that, and then I let them know the show usually comes out 1 to 3 months after recording. Honestly, this is not always true, but enough people ask me that I figure I'll at least include it. People want to know when it's going to happen. And then, I have the custom 75 minutes. I have the days that I'm available to record. I don't like recording on Monday or Friday. And then I have some date overrides for the holiday as I record this. I like to create a buffer here, like 10 minutes before, so I can kind of prep and review notes. 5 minutes after, just to give me some time to if I have back-to-back meetings or recordings. And then I do every 15 minutes. People can't schedule within a week of me sending them the link because, again, I want to do a little prep work. And then maximum amount. This used to be 5. 5 is a lot. So if you're thinking about doing this, I would recommend Know Thyself. But 5 was too much for me. I dropped it down to 3, and that's a lot better. And then I also made this a secret event because I don't want people just adding themselves to my podcast, or my podcast calendar at least. Here I have some questions that I like to ask. Company name, title, what are we talking about? This question I usually already know the answer to because I propose the question or the topic. And I would just like them to reiterate it back to me, especially if some people schedule like a month or 6 weeks down the line. I won't always remember. What website do you want me to link to? Links for your social profiles, and then some disclaimers. You recognize that the interview will be edited and not all interviews are published. This is just basically an out for me if the interview is really crappy or we have some issues or I just don't, maybe I didn't do due diligence and I don't support what the guest said. Whatever, this gives me an out to not publish it. And then you agree to use a decent mic, record from a quiet place, and wear headphones. So they explicitly agree to those things. because again, I will not record if they're not wearing headphones. I set up a text reminder here for me to do a pre or a post interview summary. That's just a note for me so I don't forget what we talked about too late down the line. I've personalized the calendar invite to include the recording notes, like I mentioned here. And then I have a couple of email reminders, again, with all of the information here, including the questions that they answered, just in case they forgot. And then I have an email follow-up. So in the email follow-up, I have a Dropbox folder where people can upload their headshots. That's really important to me, so I don't have to go hunting for one. And while I'm here, I'm going to delete this because the community is gone. Shows how many people actually paid attention to that. I also asked them for their address so I can send them a thank you card. Very few people have taken me up on that, though. It's handwritten. And I have this set for 30 minutes is probably too short. I'm actually going to do 60 minutes. And so those are all of the settings here. For the confirmation page, I redirect them to the recording notes. That way I know they see it, right? They sign up, they get sent to that page. I know they've at least seen it once. This has been a huge help in people in preparedness for my guests. So that's my tour of Calendly and how I've set it up for my podcast. Obviously, you can see it on the live page, right? So the link is here. All of the information is here. And then when they want to book, they can grab a time and then they would fill out. The only reason I don't turn this off, like the add guests, is because usually a podcast booker is doing it for their client. And so sometimes they like to add themselves to the invite so that's on their calendar too. But then there's the form and then it gets scheduled. That is a quick tour of Calendly and how I've configured it for my podcasts.